Today we're going to take a little test, little head-to-head against two of the biggest trending irons of 2025. It's always a big year for Ping when they launch their G Series irons, and this year has been no different. G440 has been what you would expect from Ping. It has been a solid iron, performance-wise, look-wise, sales-wise. It's been a very, very good quality product, and Ping, as we know, when they launch anything G Series, they know it's going to be a big year for them. So overall, it's been a good product. It's sold well. People have enjoyed hitting it in the fitting bays. We've definitely seen that sell through. It's a fast iron. It's a classic looking G Series iron from Ping. It's slicker, it's cleaner. It just looks good. It's got great rack appeal as well. So overall, the iron for G440 or for Ping has been very, very strong. It goes up against the T350. T350 is a launch stick. It is designed for you to hit it as far as you possibly can, as high as you possibly can, and I think it's definitely got Titleist further into that conversation of game improvement irons. I think we all know that Titleist have had that stigma over the last 15, 20 years of being the players' club. It's been that club that we're only for better players. We're only good for single-figure handicappers. And I think sometimes Titleist have always not really been in the conversation in a fitting bay when it comes to that game improvement iron. This definitely has put them in the conversation, and we've seen some really good results from this for slower swing speeds. We've seen some good results in distance on this iron. So overall, it's a quality iron. But where this also has benefited Titleist is the ability to blend with the T250 and the T150 as well. So you've seen maybe some better players that want to put T350 in the longer irons and then blend into 250 or even 150 or even all three if you're feeling confident, to allow you to get some more forgiveness at the top end of the bag, and you can get that feel and kind of slick look at the bottom end. So this is going to be an interesting test. Let's jump on the bay and have a little play. So I think the first thing to look at is the actual look, how this club sits behind the ball. Now, both of them are very different in shape. They both give you that level of confidence over the top line. From my perspective, I actually think the Titleist sits a little bit better. The toe to heel ratio looks a little bit more compact to me, just in the way it's shaped. I think that roundedness of the toe is definitely helping that. So my preference, if you're going on purely look, would be the Titleist, because I think it sits a little tighter. However, with the G440, I think it would give a player who's looking for a club in this category a little bit more confidence. That wider kind of face, or that image of that wider face, would definitely feel like you're going to get some good shots. Now, from the look as well, both have a level of offset. Both lofts are the same. We haven't put the power spec into G440, so both lofts are the same. It's 29 degrees, so they are strong for 7 irons. I just get this view on the G440 though, it just looks like there's more offset. I think from a look perspective, it just looks like it's got that bit more offset. And although T350 has offset and it does help you get the golf ball up in the air, I think from an image perspective, how that hosel flows into the bottom of the club or the heel of the club actually doesn't look as kind of obvious as maybe the G440. So let's have a look. Now, I'm just going to hit these. We're going to hit a few shots with each, and we'll try and give you some feedback on how they sound, and then we'll have a little look at the data. So we'll go G440 first. So immediate feedback is it's a bit clicky. It's designed to be. It jumps off the face. It's a solid iron. I don't think it's one of those irons you're not going to get, it's not overly responsive in the terms of you're going to get loads of feel from the face. What you are going to get is a load of speed. And you're going to get you can hear the ball squealing almost as it comes off the club face. It's that kind of quick power. That was fat and horrible. Okay, let's hit a few more. Oh no. Oh, I don't know where that one come from. You don't need that on a cold October morning, do you? Woo-hoo. Not overly keen on the sound. It's a bit, I say clicky, it's a bit poppy, it's a bit, it does what it's supposed to do. I think that's the thing with Ping. You know what you're getting. It's definitely a poppy, clicky, speed. But it does go. Okay, so let's switch into T350. So what you are always going to hope, I think, when you put this club behind the ball is that it, although you've got the sort of game improvement area of Titleist's range, you're hoping that it still feels like that T150 and the Players Club. Definitely a different sound, obviously a bit of a drop kick as well, so let's try and hit a couple of clean ones. Sounds a bit duller. It's not as clicky off the face. Definitely a little bit duller on the impact. Still feels fairly hot, to be honest. That was toey. Ugh. Definitely feels, sound-wise, it's more of a hit. It's more of a thump rather than a little clicky sound of the Ping. It's definitely more a thud than it is a click. You do get a little bit more feedback on it. I think that's the beauty of that Titleist. They're bringing their player's iron into their game improvement iron. That was nice. Okay, so I think the main differences between the two would be in terms of the feel. This actually sounds different, but you feel with your ears sometimes, right? And that clicky, poppy sound of the G440 definitely made it feel like it was coming off the club faster. It felt like it was jumping off the club face. With T350, however, it definitely felt more solid. It felt more like a punch when you hit the golf ball. And that kind of deader sound actually felt like you gave you a little bit more feel. It felt like a little bit more responsive. So very different in their approach. My personal preference, if I was playing either of those, I think based on the feel, would be T350, just because I think that's naturally what I'm used to in an iron. I'm not used to a jumpy hot iron like G440 sounded like. But let's jump in on the numbers and see how they stack up. So let's jump on Trackman and see what the numbers say. Now, with this type of iron, I think it's really important we can look at some of the other data, but some of the key data is ball speed, spin, and carry data. So let's start with the obvious one, ball speed. Which one of these was the fastest? Well, G440 was quick, 120 on average. There was a couple of low, sort of fatty ones in the T350, which brought the average down. If I remove that shot number 7 there, which is clearly a dodgy shot, you get a similar number. However, the highest ball speed we did record was T350. So you might say that the average was a little bit quicker with G440. However, the actual quickest ball speeds I got was from the T350. So that average was probably massively affected by the fact that I caught a few toey and misstruck. So ball speed, pure ball speed, what is going to come out on top there is that T350 offers the biggest potential in ball speed. Spin rates. Now, spin rates are interesting. G440 has come out very, very low on spin, something that I personally hate. It launched really well and launched in height very well. However, spin was quite low on it. Now, T350 was 1,000 revs more in this test. Now, we could argue that we might want to look at changing the golf ball a little bit, and we were obviously using a premium range ball to test this. So the spin rates might be a little bit lower than you are used to seeing. However, like for like testing would say that T350 offers you more spin. So it offers you the potential of more speed, and it offers you more spin as well. So the last thing is carry distance. Now, it is shorter. T350 on average is shorter. G440 has got that through the good ball speed and the lower spin rate. It's getting away with it stopping on a green because the land angle's just creeping up to sort of 47 or 43 on average, but there was a few there at 47. But the carry distance is considerably further. So it's about a club longer than T350. So this is a really tough, in my opinion, this is a very, very tough call on which one is the best. So if we take it back to me having a little look at the clubs, putting them side by side and give you my preference on each, let's go through it. So on look, I said earlier, my preference would have been the T350. Now I think that is mainly down to the fact that I'm used to that style of club and I've played Titleist irons in the past. So for me, if you were putting head to head, T350 would win that battle. If we were to look at feel, now you get the feeling of G440 that it's fast, it's poppy, it's clicky. It's not something I personally liked. However, I can see its benefits. T350, however, was a bit more in line with what I would expect from that kind of forged face and softness off the face. So for me, 350 wins on feel. So the Titleist for me is the club that is going to win on look and on feel. Then we get into the data. So we give you some of my opinion on the subjective, and then we jump into the data. And overall, you would have to say that 350 is the one for ball speed. I know the averages there is slightly or very similar. However, the potential to get that 127 ball speed is pretty phenomenal from a Titleist iron. So you're going to have to give it, now you've got to assume that you're going to strike it, but you're going to have to give that to T350 as well. Then we get onto spin rate. I think that one speaks for itself. Titleist is offering more spin than the PING, so it's 4-0 into the T350. Then we jump into the carry, and that's the one where it sort of lets itself down. It's there or thereabouts. Again, if I take off that poor strike, then you'll see that there's a couple of poor strikes in there. You'll see that it does get up into that world of 175. So it's about 4 or 5 yards shorter. Overall, however, if I take that one shot, that number 14, which delivered us that potential ball speed of 127, it delivered that better spin rate and it delivered that better land angle, you can see that it's on par with the G440. So in that category, we really should give it to G440. Personally, I would give half each because I think the potential in the T350 is there to see. So for me, if I was scoring these irons, the subjective and some of the objective data, I would say it's 4.5 to 1/2 to the Titleist T350. So guys, I hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching. We do love our friends at PING and we do love our friends at Titleist, but sometimes you have to be a little bit more brutal at picking your favourites. So thanks for watching and please hit that subscribe button.